All right. Shalom, Akim. Start the lesson. We want to give all praise and our glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahawashi, Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors to our apostles of Red Millstone that taught us the truth. Peace and blessing to the sincere Akim, especially his truth. And all truth and sincerity around the four corners of the earth diligently to us in Shalom. Okay, I'm the brother Yara Araya from the Great Millstone Miami camp. And I come back to the spirit power of Yahawashi and I try to make another lesson. So this lesson was inspired by, the fellowship yesterday. It going into how, we was going into how, we're not justified by the law, but we establish it. And that's why how should I do what he did for us to have grace. And that just sprung a video title to be, how should I deserve his praises for bringing us back. And when I see bringing us back to the Father, man, bringing us back to Yahweh. Okay, he's that mediator. Okay, from the advocate for us, man. Okay, without Yahweh's sacrifice, Lord have been done away with us, man. All right, but through Yahweh's sacrifice, all right, now we have grace through Him. Okay, if you preach, if you preach the law, okay, and you all about the law, you basically saying that you're perfect and you don't need Yahweh, man, and that's completely off because Scripture say that when you break one, you break all. And then, and there's more than just 12. There's approximately 600 laws. And there's certain laws that you just cannot, keep, man. Because you understand that, we're not in rulership, man. Esau's in rulership. So certain things that you may want to do that's according to the law, you may not be able to do, man. Okay? And that's why the scriptures say, do we make void of the law? No, but we establish. Okay, we try to keep it to the best of our ability. The scriptures say not to eat swine, things that you can prevent. Okay, scriptures say not to get lineups and not to shave your beard. All right, not to eat shellfish. All right, these are things that you can withdraw from, man. And scriptures say not to work on the Sabbath. There's certain jobs that allow you not to work on the Sabbath when the day changes. All right, things that are things that you can control, but things that are out of your control. If we were established by the law, and if you were thinking that the law is going to save you, you would have been dead already, right? But it's through Yahweh's sacrifice, because He was the ultimate sacrifice. Hence why we have grace, to bring us back to the Father. All right, and I got a couple of precepts lined up, and it may be a lot, but we was in the spirit yesterday, okay, going into Yahweh and His sacrifice, and I just had to write these precepts down, man. Okay, this is Ephesians chapter 2. Let me grab it. Ephesians 2 and verse 16, and it says that He might reconcile both unto the Most High in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby. And that's right, man. Reconcile us back to who? To the Father, man. That we are reconciled back to Yahweh Bashim Shai, and that's through His, and that's through Yahweh Shai's sacrifice. And it says 17, and came and preached peace to be with you were far off, and to them that were nigh. For though Him we both have access to by one Spirit unto the Father. And that's right, man. By Him we have access. Okay, by Yahweh Shai we have access to the Father, man. Okay, and it's not by just keeping the law. Okay, continuing on, verse 19. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and the household of the Most High, who are built upon the foundation of apostles and prophets, Yahweh Shai Mashiach Himself being the chief cornerstone. Right, man? That's the foundation. Yahweh Shai, man. Scriptures talk about, those that build their house, those that build their house on the rock, and when the destruction, and when the wind came, okay, and it speaks about how those that who had built their house on the sand, and when the wind came, it blew them away. Okay, that's the one I was talking about. I was talking about Yahawashi. Those that, root their foundation on Yahweh Hashem Yahawashi. Okay, verse 21, in whom all the building 50 framed together groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord, in whom ye are also builded together for a habitation of the Most High through the Spirit. Right, man. Through Yahweh Shai, through Yahweh Hashem Yahawashi. Okay, we are built up, in the Spirit. All right. So, we are ultimately supposed to give Yahweh Shai his praise, man. He deserves it. No one could have went through what Yahweh Shai went through, but he also understood that, he had to go through that because, he went off. That's Adam. Okay. This is Genesis chapter 49, in verse 2. Let me see if I can jump to the Genesis 49, 2, 2, so I can jump through. I believe. Um, This is Genesis 49 and verse 10, and it says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor from a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and until him shall the gathering of the people be. That's right, man. I mean, until it says the scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler staff from his descendants, until the coming of the one to whom it belongs. And that's speaking on Yahushua. And the one whom all nations will honor. And that's right, man. Who are all nations going to honor Yahushua? You think about all knees shall bow, showing you that Yahweh is going to get his praise. He already get his praise in the heavens. Him and Yahweh. Okay, when it speaks about it in Revelation, speaking about how the angels constantly giving him praise, constantly praying. Okay, we had to do the same thing, giving Yahweh his praise, his reverence for what he did for us, man. Laying his life down for his brothers. Scripture say that no man, no greater love than one that lays his life down for his brothers. Okay, and that's what Yahushua did. He laid his life down for his brothers. Okay, so that we can have a chance at salvation, so that we can be brought back to Yahweh Hashem Yahawashi through Yahushua. Okay, so you cannot just say, you just about the law, the law, the law. When you cannot keep all of them, man. All right, going on. This is Hebrew 2 and verse 16. That's right. Hebrews 2 and verse 16, and it says, for verily he took not unto him the nature of angels, but he took unto him the seed of Abraham. And that's right, man. What is that talking about? And, seed of Abraham, Isaac, man. Because, you have to understand reincarnation. All right, and continuing on, it says, wherefore, in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren. Okay, because you understand that, Yahushua came in the flesh. All right, that he might be merciful, faithful, high priest in things pertaining to the Most High, to make reconciliation to the sins of the people. Okay, to help us, reconcile us back to Yahweh. Okay, for in that he himself suffered, being tempted, was able to secure them that are tempted. That's right, and I'm gonna grab that in the NLT Hebrews 2, verse 18. Okay, because there's a lot of camps that try to be about the law, If you're about the law, You don't need Yahawashi, man. And I'm gonna start at verse 17. It says, therefore, it was necessary for him to be made every respect like us, his brothers and sisters, so that he could be our merciful and faithful high priest before the Most High, and he could offer a sacrifice that would take away the sins of the people. Since he himself has gone through suffering and testing, he is able to help us when we are being tested. And that's right. Okay, Yahushua is able to help us when when we going through our our temptations and our trials. Okay, continuing on. This is Matthew 15 and verse 24. Because we was in fellowship and bros was just bringing it out, man, and it was edifying too, man. All right, Matthew 15 and verse 24, and it says, but he said in answer, this is red letter, I am not sent unto the lost sheep, but unto the house of Israel. Okay, so Yahweh was sent back for the house of Israel, man. Okay, for the Israelites. But really, the elect, in these times, okay, because only the elect are gonna really turn back to the Lord and seek him, man. 2/3 gonna have to get put to death on this side because they just cannot get it. All right. Continuing on, Revelation 5, grab that, verse 9, and it says, and they sang a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. Right, man? Who was ready to open that book? Yahushua, man. All right, and he was that lamb that was slain, to redeem us back into Yahweh Shimei Shai. No one else, man. Okay, and and I feel like it's a lesson, man. Lord's lesson is edifying. Okay, the title of the lesson is going to be Yahushua deserves his praise, his praises for bringing us back to the Father, man. Okay, and it's a beautiful thing what Yahushua did, man. All right, without him, we would, we would be asked out, man. But ultimately, that's not how the story played. The story played out so that we can be brought back to the Lord, man. Those that are of the elect are going to turn back and seek Yahweh Shemel Shai, man. So, Lord, when the lesson is edifying, okay, with that, I do want to give all praise and honor glory to Yahweh Shemel Shai, by Shemel Kakodash. Number one, to our apostle and elder grave. No son that taught us the truth. Peace and blessings to the sincere octaves. With that, I do want to say, Shalom.